To the webinar?
Oh, it's a long story, and I don't understand it, Archie. But we get a practice session, so we can talk for a few minutes before the meeting actually starts. And the meeting is in the webinar format, so we switch to webinar when Kelly does that and begins reporting for the record. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
I could see your ceiling fan, Mike. I haven't seen it in a long time. Wow.
Oh, you know what? I was supposed to turn on. I don't know if I can do it now. I'm not going to try to push the limits on this, but I'm supposed to have a blurred background
You can turn the fan on for ambient noise.
I can turn it on if you'd like to get distracted.
Don't pay attention to what's going on over here. Just look at the fan.
Would you like to say good evening?
Good evening, Kelly.
No, I mean to all our guests.
Well, oh,
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Southeast CPC for Thursday, July 17th. Mike Kruchoski is the council chair, and we're about to get started.
And I'm anticipating Suzy showing up shortly. Hopefully there are no complications. We would have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We would have 7 of our current 8 council members at the start here, but we do have a quorum. So let me do that. I do have an agenda. My apologies for it being late. So let's go ahead and start with that business. We do have a quorum. We have 6 of our 8 current members. I will say that our newest member, Samuel Nevarez, is in midterms right now and will be joining us about 15-20 minutes into the discussion. So we do have a quorum, so let's go ahead and get started. I guess that's the call to order. And what I'd like to do is start with council members making their personal introductions, and I'll wait till the end of it and try not to blab too much. So go ahead, Angelo, Chris, Ron, Angel, Archie, in that order. Is that okay?
sure.
Hello, my name is Angelo. Been a member since gonna be a year. I'm staying at CNM, but this is my last CNM semester, so I'm graduating. So I'm moving to UNM.
Huh?
And
Is it empty out front?
crime scene
I'll fill it up.
investigator.
I'm in a meeting right now. I'll fill it up now.
Turns out good.
It's all the way in the.
Hi, my name is Chris McDaniel. I've been in the CPC Southeast for a little over a month now. I've lived in the Southeast area for almost 2 decades, and I'm a local electrical contractor. That's it.
Go ahead and mute then.
Oh,
My name's Ron Hobgewachs. I've lived in the Southeast area Community Policing Council area for 50 years, and was actually selected to serve on the Policing Council after a whole series of interviews back in 2014 when they first started. And I will continue to serve as long as there are vacancies on the Policing Council. But the original council members were, I went through 4 different interviews before being selected to serve on the policing council. And I served as a chair for, geez, Mike, I don't remember. Well, since 2014. When did you become the chair? Anyway, I served as a chair
A month ago.
for, I don't know, 7 years, 6 years. That's it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angel Garcia. I'm the Social Services Manager for the City of Albuquerque's Violence Intervention Program. I joined the council because I do a lot of work in the Southeast. I have an office in the Gibson Medical Hub in the Trauma Recovery Center.
Yeah, J. Steven Archuleta, Archie, retired Navy. I work at the VA hospital, healthcare for homeless veterans. I haven't been here for 50 years, but I'm 50 years old, a little bit over 50, but I've been on the council for, I don't know, 3-4 years, and I really appreciate everybody attending and look forward to the dialogue and conversation we're going to have tonight. Thank you.
I guess that leaves me. We're still waiting for Suzy to join us and Samuel. Mike Kruchoski, I've been on long enough to be eligible to step aside either January 2023, which would mark 6 years on the council, or according to the ordinance, we have Archie, Ron, and I are obligated to step aside for new members as of October 2023. So one way or another, I'm in my last term, and I will come back to terms and interviews, options, opportunities to serve on the council a little bit later. So right now, an unexpected agenda item. So let's see here. Oh, goodness. Here we go. Okay, let's see here. So Suzy, you're coming up as Angel. Go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I didn't get the link for some reason, so Angel sent me his link. Thank you, Angel. I'm Suzy Sanchez Beg. I live in the Southeast, work in the Southeast, and have been on the council for several years now. So I'm very vested.
Okay, so once again, all we're doing is in terms of our quorum, waiting for Samuel to show up after his midterm. It'll be probably in the midst of the commander's presentation. First of all, let me say really quickly, we're trying very hardly to get back to in-person meetings and to engage more openly than the webinar format usually lets us. So at the point where we do invite you in to speak, both visually as showing your video and your audio, please just be respectful. That's all we ask, is that we all have diverse opinions, experiences, values, and we should appreciate the fact that we need to hear one another out. So just be respectful. That's all I'll say about guidelines. So the first and only real official business that requires a motion and a vote is the agenda for this evening. And My apologies for it going out late. So anybody want to, council members want to say anything about things that we should amend?
I move that we approve the agenda.
A second.
Okay, motion to approve it without any amendments. All in favor, just raise your hand, say aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did 7. Wonderful. So unanimous. So with that, I am going to jump in with one quick addition to it. Commander Languit, you had a question this afternoon, and if you don't mind asking it now instead of in your presentation, we can go ahead with that. Otherwise, we would move on to, I guess that's an amendment to the agenda. My apology. I should have remembered that. But if you want to hold your question until your presentation, which would be in about 5 minutes, we'll press on with Suzy's summarization of what happened on Tuesday at your Public Safety Community Forum in Nob Hill.
Yes, I attended along with Mike and Commander Luke, a public safety meeting that the Nob Hill Business Owners Association, or I don't know if it was their actual association, but a lot of them said they were from the association, just about concerns that they had about safety in Nob Hill, both to their businesses and to their residents. I think it's all the same things that we all hear within our own communities. And Commander Languit addressed very articulately concerns that and questions that they had. They also had the opportunity to meet Officer Giannopoulos, and I apologize, I don't have my notes in front of me. The other officer that is also a bike officer, and got to meet them, ask them some questions, what their schedules were, those kinds of things. Again, expressed concerns about the schedule, how many of them or how few of them there are. But again, it's all the same questions and concerns that we all have in our own neighborhoods and workplaces. So, and Maria Wolf was there also to help facilitate that. So that was really about it. And then Marissa Vigil and I continue to go out with with Jose Briones and code enforcement and officers, and we go out and do outreach and offer resources and on Friday mornings. So we do that out in the camps and in vacant and substandard buildings.
And I would mention that Suzy has been to a vacant house across the street from me multiple times, and I believe that you do that like weekly, don't you? Yeah. So if there are no questions or comments about that, I see that Maria had mentioned it was the Nob Hill Main Street that prompted that meeting on Tuesday. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Commander Languit. I will post a link in chat in just a moment as he's speaking about his Earth Day initiative. But I will also say that the commander reached out to me this morning about some question he had, and if he would like to ask that up front, I will try to answer his question as quickly as possible and as concisely and unambiguously as possible.
Well, good evening, everyone. Again, Luke Languit, I'm the APD Southeast Area Commander. And just to get right into that question that I had asked you, it was really about just meeting in person and having the CPC meetings in person. I didn't know if that had been discussed by the Southeast CPC, if you guys were going to transition to in-person meetings or like a hybrid type meeting, because if there are some in our community here where it's just not feasible due to health or other concerns that they can't come in person, would there still be that option for them to be able to attend in a digital setting? So I didn't know if that was has been discussed, but I was just curious about that myself. So Mike, I don't know if you want to address that before I get into my presentation, just some crime statistics and the initiatives and strategies that we here in the Southeast Area Command have underway. So
absolutely. Again, we are committed to resuming in-person attendance at CPC meetings. I've already talked to the I can't remember her name at the city about getting the request in. I've talked to the folks over at the Cesar Chavez Community Center. So we are looking forward to doing that. Kelly and I are planning some tests of the OWL, which is a really nifty 3D omnidirectional microphone and speaker system for those kinds of meetings. We've got a series of tests, both formally, informally, coming up in the next 2 weeks. So with that, yes, we're committed to both in person for those people who prefer and feel safe to do that, as well as the virtual attendance by Zoom for those who are unable to leave their homes in the evenings for whatever the reasons, whether they don't feel safe or they don't have transportation or they have crazy personal lives that prevent them. So we are wholly committed to resuming those because a lot of people really prefer face-to-face, in-person dialogue. So we'll do that. We'll test this new system, and perhaps in April we'll start that among the very first of the CPCs. So with that, I'll shut up.
awesome. Well, thank you. And I'd like to start off this presentation with our statistics on the activity that's occurring here in the Southeast. This information was put together by our crime prevention specialist, Jose Briones. So I'd like to give him credit for that. And it's worth just putting this disclaimer out there that this information is pulled from our CAD system, or our daily calls for service, which basically is all the calls made to the Emergency Communication Center. So as calls come in, if they're coded as a aggravated battery or assault, but by the end of the investigation that the officers conduct, it could change. So I'd like to, again, this is just my opinion on it. These aren't 100%, but they're pretty accurate to the final numbers. To get final numbers, that would obviously come from the department's record division, which we're in line with the NIBRIS reporting. So just to start off with incidents, we've had a total of 854 incidents, and this is our last 30-day period that these numbers reflect. And for crimes against person, we had 94 aggravated assaults and batteries. We've had 5 criminal sexual penetration incidents, 264 family offenses, 41 robberies, and that's the total number of robberies, but there are subcategories such as robberies to an individual versus commercial robberies and carjackings. And then we also had 12 simple assault incidents. On the property crime side, we had 32 auto burglaries, 79 auto thefts, 24 commercial burglaries. We had about 5 white collar crimes, 92 larcenies, and we were able to recover 27 stolen vehicles and had about 36 incidences of vandalism. There are some quality of life crimes and other violations such as like disorderly conduct. There's about 78 incidents. And DUI, we had 22 incidents. For the DWI category, that's not just the activity of the officers assigned to the area command, but that's also includes like the DWI unit and the motors officers when they do stops in the area command as well. So the total calls for service that the officers responded to for the month of February was about 8,512. And I think that's important because out of these 8,512 calls for service, we had a total of 12 uses of force. And I'm sure everyone's familiar with the way our reporting for the uses of force, there's different levels. We had 3 level 1s, we had 7 level 2s, and we had 2 level 3 uses of force for the area command. So again, consistently, we have pretty much one of the highest volumes of calls for service and uses of force that are properly investigated and reviewed by either the Internal Affairs Force Division or the Southeast Chain of Command that investigates those uses of force. Just some crime trends that I'd like to report on. We're still seeing on the violent crime section, aggravated assaults and batteries and robberies as our biggest violent crime categories. Whether we compare it from year to date or week to week, and I prefer the week to week comparison to kind of see where we've been at and if we need to adjust our strategy, our law enforcement strategies, like our TAC plans and operations. The last several weeks, we are trending in the right direction. I think at one point, to give an example, at the beginning of the year, auto thefts were up 25% compared to the previous year. I think right now, as of this last week, we were at about 10%. So we are trending downwards and we're trending in the right direction. So the initiatives and strategies that we're doing, they seem to be working. But of course, we always have to be able to adjust. And how we do that here in the area command is we provide our officers with them having the information of what crime categories are up and what are down and where they're occurring. That's given to them on a weekly basis. We use our technology that the department has invested in, such as our gunshot detection technology and our license plate readers, to generate hotspot maps to best give them the locations of when they have the opportunity and time when they're not taking calls for service. If they can transition and do proactive police work, they know where to go. Your officers are doing very, very hard work especially with all the tasks that they have to do, but they are working hard. And a couple of the other trends I'd like to point out on the property crime section, all of our property crimes are down, except for auto theft. And that seems to be like a citywide trend as well. Just all across the city, auto theft is still a crime that we still have to, a lot of our efforts have to go towards. I can tell you also, besides the auto theft, with this time of year, it's still a little bit cold. We still see the occasional thefts that come from vehicle warmups. And related to auto theft, also the catalytic converter thefts, which I know we did a piece on our newsletter about kind of some prevention measures for that. Our officers actually just the other day, yesterday, had a really good arrest on the 500 block of Texas, where they arrested 2 people that were like in the process. It was right then and there where the officers were able to stop an in-progress catalytic converter theft. So again, your officers are working hard. as different crime technology comes out, such as our reporting, as far as giving them the information and the hotspots and maps, the department is making that easier to access through the use of like dashboards and real-time information that could be passed on. And if I can, or I should stop actually, is there any questions on our use of force for the last 30 days or any of the crime statistics that I can answer before I talk about the initiatives and strategies, just to recap those and get some recommendations or feedback on?
I have a question. I know that probably right at the beginning of the pandemic that the auto theft numbers had gone down significantly. And I know that it's trending upward. We lost him. Oh, there you are. That it's trending upward, you were saying, across the city. Any thoughts about, why that is and if we think it's going to continue?
Well, I want to say for the last 5 weeks, and when I say we're trending up, if we do a year-to-year comparison, we're up at the beginning of the year. At the end of January, we were up about 25%. Now we're only up about 10%, but that's comparing it to the last year. And I think you bring up a good point, because these last 2 years have been unique in their own rights. I mean, whether if it was COVID, different events that were happening in the community. So I'll be perfectly honest, I don't necessarily think that a year-to-date comparison should be the only metric or the best metric to say if we're successful or failing. And the example that I use is with like aggravated batteries and assaults. If we had 50 for this month, and this month last year we had 100, so we have a 50% reduction. With this standard, it looks like we're successful, but at the end of the day, we still have 50 aggravated battery and assaults. So it's a matter of like, we don't want to have any. So to answer your question specifically about auto theft, I know that the auto theft unit, they use the tools and resources that they have, whether if it's the bait cars or proactive operations. I'm fortunate enough to be able to have their commitment to where the auto theft unit and other specialized units are conducting operations in the area command to reduce those auto theft numbers. I just think, especially with all of just everything that's happened with the pandemic, I definitely think that was a factor. We did a study back in the fall, I want to say it was like November and December, where we observed a trend with burglaries and auto theft to where they really kind of picked up towards the beginning and or at the end and the beginning of the month. And we don't have proof, but our analysis, we were thinking like what's the cause of this? Rent's due at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month, and it seemed to be like when there was those periods of where money is tight and people have to live. That's where these property crimes, at least for the Southeast, I can't speak for citywide, we saw an increase. So that's where it's not going to completely solve the problems, but that's where if we can open the dialogue to other departments, family community services, other departments within the city, to try and give them that information of what we're seeing. If there's non-law enforcement plans from these other departments that can help these people in the community, could that help result in fewer property crimes? So that's an analysis and a strategy that we continue to do. I hope that answers.
But then I guess a follow-up question is, what can we as community members do to help keep that, or to make that trend start going down?
What, for auto theft specifically?
Well, or, I mean, all of it, you know, in theory, but definitely, you know, we don't want our homes broken into, excuse me.
Right.
You know, we
right.
don't want our cars broken into. So, and I know you put those things out in the newsletter, but while you have a captive audience, you know, it's always good to hear.
Right. I'm really pushing toward, because our officers, and I've said this a couple times, it's not a competition, but our officers here in the Southeast, they make the most felony arrests and clear the most felony warrants than any other area command, and they consistently have done this since I've been here every month. So our officers are working hard. I don't know, I'll be honest, I don't know how much more work that they can do, but we can always, and we need to always adjust our strategies and our times to kind of match what the when the crimes are reported and the areas that we need to allocate our resources and focus on, and make those referrals to the specialized units that, you know, specialize in auto theft or specialize in narcotics. So that's why I really would recommend to kind of, to your question, you know, what other tools are in the toolbox? What can the community do? And it may even be as simple as having an awareness and being educated on how to, you know, target harden, how to, you know, properly secure your vehicle, ensuring that there's never a weapon left in vehicles, using all of the crime prevention through environmental design tools, whether if it's motion detecting lights, making those businesses and residences less appealable to, you know, the population of the community that wants to commit these crimes. It sounds basic, but it definitely makes a difference. And then to complement that, having a captive audience, and whether if it's a neighborhood association, a CPC, or, you know, a business coalition, is sharing information and communicating that information. I've seen, and I always use ARAPA as an example. I don't know if there's someone on here that's not familiar with ARAPA. It's the retail partnership between all the retailers, like big box stores and our retailers in the city. And I will tell you, the information that they share, if Target posts a picture saying, hey, be on the lookout, this individual tried to attempt to shoplift or did shoplift from us, and they post that information, you'll have other stores replying to those posts saying, you know what, we actually got hit by him last week and we got a license plate, here's a license plate. Or they'll take it a step further and they'll actually identify, you know, that individual, and then they provide that information to law enforcement, right? So a communication information sharing platform like that, to where, you know, neighborhoods are sharing information because they know what cars belong on their blocks and what cars don't belong on their blocks, and getting everyone on that same page really also makes a difference as well. So, you know, I kind of look at it as, what other tools that maybe the police department, you know, we don't have the time or the ability or the resources, because, you know, we're busy making the arrests. That the end goal is to, you know, reduce and eliminate this crime. I think that there's so much that we as a community can do, and even if it's education to the overall community about like vehicle warm-ups, you know, how to prevent that. A lot of the newer model vehicles that are being stolen, I know I'll use Toyota as an example. This last week, Toyota, the numbers of Toyotas really increased. And that's a little bit odd because Toyota has pretty good anti-theft equipment in their vehicles. Researching, and our auto theft unit's responsible for this, but researching, you know, trends from other comparable cities and just across the nation, to where there are devices that can, you know, when in close proximity or whatever, I don't know how it works, radio waves or whatever, but they're able to copy the signal, the key fob, you know, so vehicles that don't have a key, it's like a push to start, there are ways to steal those. So that type of information right there, getting that out to and just for that specific example, it's actually coming, but that's where we need to work with our neighborhood associations and let them know, hey, this is a trend that we're seeing, and here's some steps to kind of overcome this particular threat from, the property crime offenders.
Thank you.
So, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I know one of the missions for the CPC is to kind of review and provide recommendations or feedback on the initiatives and strategies that we, the police department, are doing. I'd just like to take some time, and please let me know where I'm at with time. I don't want to hijack the whole meeting. But I'd like to just kind of recap some of the initiatives that we here in the Southeast Area Command are doing. The Gibson Public Safety District, I know last month's meeting, it was a long meeting on that. Working with the other city departments as far as gathering the data for the boundaries of the public safety district and what each department's role is and how we collectively together get good data to provide to the community, but then also using that data to figure out what our response needs to be and how much resources that we need to put towards it. So that's an initiative that's in the works. I myself have a meeting actually tomorrow with the public safety district administrator. So I'm meeting with her, taking a lot of the feedback that we got actually here from the CPCs last month. That's going to be discussed. More to come with that. I want to say, if I remember correctly, I think we're shooting for late spring, summer, when that public safety district goes live. So that's a big initiative that we here in the Southeast Area Command are taking on. Our restorative justice initiative, we're still pushing that. I'm happy to report that I've already provided the information to several neighborhood associations, and we have a couple more lined up in the upcoming months. We have 2 or 3, I believe. So that I'm glad that the word got out there. We've met with a business, actually a law firm down in Nob Hill. And then we also met with UNMPD, who wants to really work with UNMH and the university itself with the restorative justice campaign that we're doing. So I'd like to report that initiative is going strong, but again, if there's any feedback or ideas around that as well, please give me a call or stop by. Our Earth Day initiative is coming up. This is going to be, and I know it's right around the corner. It's March 25th. Solid waste, I really have to give them credit. The Earth Day is going to be, I believe it's April 20th or 22nd, maybe. That's when Earth Day is. But the whole month of April, what solid waste does is they have, like we have area commands in the police department. They have different quadrants. And the Southeast quadrant is going to be the first week of April, and it's going to be at Phil Chacon, where they're going to conduct a good cleanup in the spirit of Earth Day. We here kind of wanted to do our own, and where it stemmed from, and I put it in the email blast that I had sent to the neighborhoods. And I don't say this in a negative way, but it's just the reality. North of Phil Chacon Park, along the central corridor in the International District, I mean, if you drive and you park over there, it's a mess, and I gave the example of, if I'm a criminal and I look around and I think, what, I am going to commit this robbery because look at this place. No one cares. The residents don't care. The police department doesn't care. The city doesn't care. Why should I care? I'm going to commit this crime. So I'm holding on to the optimistic hope that if we show as a community that we do care, and we care about the landscape and the environment and the people, that could affect the numbers. I truly believe that. It may not solve all the aggravated batteries and assaults in the area, but it definitely would have an effect. So next Friday, March 25th at 7:30, we're going to be meeting at the northeast corner of Wyoming and Central. We're going to have safety equipment for everyone, and we're basically asking for volunteers to help us from Wyoming west down to Pennsylvania, from Central Avenue north to Chico, and just do a complete cleanup of all of those blocks. Solid waste will have their trucks and their personnel following the teams to pick up all the litter and the trash. We'll get we're coordinating street sweepers to come out there. And that's for the environment. But what I'm excited about as well, and I just had a great meeting with Street Connect. I don't know if everyone's familiar with Street Connect. Between our new Albuquerque Community Safety Division, ACS, and Street Connect, we're going to have social service providers out there for a lot of the individuals that are seen just wandering around, whether they have mental health issues or, substance abuse, or they're just homeless. They don't know where to go. The trash is there, so they may feel that that may be the only area that they can go to. We have a resource to really address the people in this particular area and to provide them resources and get them transport to other providers that can help them with, whether if it's housing or food or anything like that. So it's March 25th. Like I said, it's next Friday. The more volunteers, the better. I hope you guys can spread the word and come out and join us as well. One of the other initiatives I'd like to, let me check the time, that I'd like to talk about too is just our partnerships that deal particularly with the quality of life issues such as homelessness. We still are actively working and collaborating with solid waste, planning and code enforcement, ACS, AFR, 2 to 3 times a week. We're meeting to where all of the encampments that are called into 311, that information is shared and each department knows what role that they have to provide, what mission that they have to complete to take care of those encampments and to provide resources to those individuals. So that's an initiative that is still going very strong, and that's important. And I think that's important because it just seems like these last couple months, I've seen it and I've heard it over and over. And it seems to be one of the #1 issues that always comes up on my radar is the issue of criminal trespass. Criminal trespass against the business, criminal trespass against the residents. So I've shared this already to our officers and to the community as well. But just to give a recap, so that there is no miscommunication or misconceptions, we at APD, we do enforcement for criminal trespass, even with it being a misdemeanor crime. The phrase of APD doesn't enforce that is simply not true. Now, recognizing that if there are contributing factors such as homelessness or drug addiction, we're not here at APD out to criminalize the poor or anything like that. So whenever we could lead off with resources, we definitely will do that. In situations where, whether if it's the city of Albuquerque or the state, we're the victims. Yeah, absolutely. If they're willing to accept those resources, we will fully commit to that. In situations where a citizen, someone in our community or a business in our community is affected, though, we have to work with those affected victims to help get justice for them and to make sure that those individuals are held accountable. An example that I give is if we show up on scene and there's an individual still there that's criminally trespassing against the business, if they're willing to get resources because there's those contributing factors of why they conducted that type of crime, we will push that, but we can still hold that person accountable. We may not take them to jail, but we'll definitely give them a citation where they do have to appear and be held accountable for the actions that they did. So I would like to present that to the council as well, that there's always something that we can do, and even in instances of misdemeanor crimes, there's always something that we at APD can do, and our officers understand that as well. Any questions on that or feedback?
Hey, Commander, on the chat, Sandra is asking if your March 25th event will be posted on Nextdoor. I don't know if APD.
Nextdoor.
Yeah.
I do not know, so I will find out tomorrow, Sandra. I'll work with our department PIOs and web people, and that brings me to my last initiative that I want to talk to you guys about. But I don't know if it's going to be on Nextdoor Someone said they already saw it at Nextdoor. Okay, great. I'm not an expert at Nextdoor. I still do flyers and I do email, right? But that leads me to, I have two last things to present to you. What I need to do a better job on, and it falls on me as the commander of this area command, is all of our upcoming events. And for those of you that know me, I truly love to be in the community. I love to speak to people and hear firsthand what is going on these streets. I want to hear it, so I want to be there. Not, and maybe that was in the back of my mind, Mike, when I was asking about in-person meetings, but I love to have that face-to-face interaction. But where I failed, and I will do a better job, is putting this information on our website. So any coffee with a cop on the corner, shooting review, and that's unique to our area command. I don't know if other area commands are doing them. The event that we have, our Earth Day initiative for next Friday, I need to do a better job of putting all this upcoming events in our area command at a pretty quick turnaround time. So I'm going to be working with our lady that kind of maintains all of our area command websites, and I hope you all will see an improvement with upcoming events from APD, the whether that we're sponsoring or that we're coordinating or that we're involved in. I'd like to get that out on the area commands, and then also in our newsletter. I think we're going to carve out, I think it may already be in there about upcoming events, but that's information that I think that since I've been here that we can improve upon. And then the last thing, maybe there was two more things. Our substation, the substation remodel, the first phase should be completed at the end of May. And what's going to happen is we're going to have to move from our existing building into the new building, and then they're going to bulldoze the existing building, and then they're going to start phase two, which is building a new building in the place of where the old building is. During that time period, from May up until the end of the year, because I believe that's end of the year should be like the final completion date, we're not going to have a substation at Louisiana and Catherine. We'll be operating primarily out of the Triangle substation in Nob Hill. Anyone's been in that substation, it's very small. So we are going to put information out there to let everyone know, like, hey, you have an option up in the foothills and you have an option in the Northeast Area Command. Those are probably our closest area commands, or come to the Tri substation. The Triangle substation will be open 7 days a week. We've again going to ensure that the coverage on Friday nights and Saturday nights remains the same. But that's something that we have to prepare for. So again, getting that information out on our newsletter, on our area command website, just to spread that word, and stuff like that, where I'd like to see improvement. So that's kind of my own personal goal for myself. Anything else?
I just wanted to say thank you to you, Commander. I was recently writing since you brought up restorative justice as one of the initiatives, I was recently writing a grant for some restorative justice services and training in the international district. And so I reached out to the commander and we talked about some of the needs and some of the language. So let's keep our fingers crossed that we get the grant. But thank you for your help on that. I really appreciated that collaboration.
I had a question about your own impression on the effectiveness of the shot spotter system, since you brought it up just momentarily, and the problems of officers being able to access it. And if you see that being, like, do you have numbers on the effectiveness of it basically? And do you like it?
And again, I don't know the exact number that we taxpayers, I mean, you fund us. I don't know the exact number of what that cost. I know that this
1.2 million.
Oh, was it 1.2? Well, I know this week was actually the completion date of the expansion. So they expanded it to every area of the city, is my understanding. And they just did the last phase. So pretty much every area command will have a shot spotter zone, right? You know what I like about it, and I don't know if maybe I'll throw the ball to Angel, because I know he, if I remember correctly, there was a strategy that they used maybe in Florida where it helped them get navigators or VIP type folks into the right neighborhoods where they were seeing shots. I don't think we've done that yet, but Angel may be spearheading that to actually do that. So I'll let Angel talk about that. But on the police side, the access to it, each officer has an app, and it's pretty real time, to where once a shot spotter happens, they can log into their app, and see exactly where the shots occurred. The way I utilize it here is every week, like I mentioned earlier, I push out what's up and what's down and where it's happening. Shot spotters included in that packet that we post up in our substation and we give to all of our officers. And what I charge our problem response team with is when we have multiple, when we have a location that has multiple shots fired, I send them out there. They knock on doors. They ask the residents that live there, hey, we have reports of a lot of shots. Do you have an idea of what's going on? Can you point us into, what's the cause for it? So it's good intel for us. We also have used it, not here in the area command, but I know our violent crimes divisions have actually used that, I believe, in a couple homicide cases. I don't know the exact ones, but where that really helped them further the investigation. They use that in kind of collaboration with the NIBIN efforts and stuff like that, but I had heard some success stories. I want to say a couple actually, where it helped as well. So Angel, do you want to talk about, do I have it right? Was it Florida?
Yeah, so I got the idea out of Miami-Dade in Florida. And just to piggyback off what Commander Languit was saying, I've been in a meeting where officers show up to a location because of ShotSpotter, and they're actually allowed to save a life because they find somebody shot there, But also, so the idea of the ShotSpotter technology is using that data where the most activations happen, like let's say in the Southeast, because more than likely we're gonna pilot it in the Southeast. We'll schedule a meeting with Commander Languit about that. But like, let's just say like Dallas Street has always a lot of activations. So it'll kind of be like Kelly and Mike, you've been to the community block parties. So it'll be using the ShotSpotter activation to take all of those resources to one street that's affected by the most ShotSpotter activations and taking resources to that block. And like Commander Languit said, just walking around asking the neighborhood, hey, are you guys okay? Do you guys need anything? We have resources down here, rental assistance, all that stuff. You know what I mean? So that should be happening. That should be the next phase of the community block parties, because this is the last month we're having them. So we're gonna try to shift it to we're calling them one block stops.
And I think, that'll help. Our goal is to drive down violent crime. And my biggest thing is working, especially working with like the VIP folks. The example kind of the cleanup that we're doing on March 25th. There are other neighborhood associations across the city that have a regular agreement with solid waste, to where they have regular scheduled trash pickups and street sweeps and all that. It's so evident that we don't have that down here in the international district. Well, why not, right? Well, maybe the informal leaders of these neighborhoods, they don't know how to access it, who to reach out to, so it's a matter of education as well. Educating them of like, hey, these are the departments, these are your points of contact, work with them. Let's have a clean, community. And that the reason why I'm saying it like that is tying it into Angel's initiative of one block stop, utilizing that ShotSpotter technology. I would like to work towards a goal of where each street, each of our neighborhoods, it's a complete buy-in where they own the neighborhood and they will let people know, hey, we don't want this type of activity here, and they step up. And for them to step up, they need to know that they have the support of the police department and what our role is and how we can support them, that they have the support of solid waste, that they have the support of VIP, and they have other resources in the community that has their back to where the neighborhood can take a stand and say, hey, we don't want this violence here, right? Our shooting reviews. And that's why I think it's so important that, and please, I hope everyone doesn't think it's just because I like to talk, but transparency, the more transparency, the better. The more information that we can share with you, the better. A lot of times, like, and Suzy witnessed it and Mike witnessed it in Nob Hill, of course, we're at the forefront because all of these incidents ends in crime, thus police, law enforcement, right? But a lot of the contributing factors has nothing to do with the police department. And I think you guys have seen in the last 10, 20 years, there's been so many incidents that we shouldn't have even been at, but there was no one even to call. So we had to go, and it ended in a bad way, or however you want to look at it, right? Now, March 17th, 2022, the city, external stakeholders, like not to call her out, but Suzy, the Justice and Peace Center. I mean, there's so many city departments and other stakeholders that can provide services, right, to situations where police really shouldn't be at, to where it doesn't even get to us. But we're always involved, like I said, because it ends in crime. So it's like, well, what's the police doing about it? Well, we need to do better than that, you know, but it starts with, again, communication and information sharing, making sure that everyone has the right information and getting the right people at the table. So I'll get off my soapbox. Thank you.
We're doing pretty well on time. We started your segment about 5 minutes early and ended about 5 minutes later than anticipated, but that's okay. I will say that the commander has offered to stay through the public comment session portion of our meeting tonight, and we can come back and answer some questions. But before I go any further, Suzy, would you be, what is it, the gun violence task force that you serve on? Would you be willing to talk about that as one of the initiatives in about maybe 2 months' time at a CPC meeting? That would be about May.
Yeah, in the future, yes, we're still trying to meet and greet everybody and come up with some common themes and goals and break into smaller groups. But yes, it is the mayor's task force on gun violence prevention. So, but yes, in the future, I will definitely, and Angel serves on that committee as well. So we can, I'm sure, come up with something.
Oh, that bus hurt, Suzy. But yeah, like you said, Mike, right? We've had 2 meetings, but it was just pretty much orientation. So once we get down to the meat of things, I'm sure Suzy will have something great to present.
I'm looking forward to it. So I'm taking notes furiously here, in part to come back to them in some community working groups. I might be able to touch on that a little bit later, but let me say this, that commanders' initiatives, we need feedback. We can turn those into frequently asked questions that we can put a short presentation to provide the information, the education that the public needs, and put those up on YouTube. I'll be happy to work with him. And some of those meetings can be in-person meetings that we can use this new Zoom owl camera on. I'll simply say that, let's see, the commander's looking for volunteers, community members to go out and help in, 1 week. And I plan to be there, but Angel you had mentioned, what is it, the civic engagement initiative through the city to get volunteers. I think I still have that person's contact. And you can text it to me at some point. And then let's see here. Stephanie Griego, who used to serve on the Southwest CPC, now is an APD employee, can no longer serve in the Southwest, but she's in charge of APD volunteers. And I reached out to them. It's not officers volunteering. These are people who've perhaps been through the Citizen Police Academy, and they have gone through all the vetting process to volunteer, and we might be able to get some of those folks through Stephanie Griego to join us next Friday. I plan to be out there, and as you might have noticed, I did put a link to the commander's email describing it, and we'll look forward to hopefully getting more community engagement directly. So let's go to old business really quickly. Some of you may have noticed that we haven't reviewed and approved, amended and approved minutes for October, January, and February at this point. And part of the reason is that I would like some feedback from the community on the things that they would like to see to improve the minutes' usefulness for them. I know that most people don't want to go and watch a 2-hour Zoom meeting recording, and most people don't necessarily find the minutes helpful. So I'm open for all of that feedback from you. You can call me. I will put my cell phone number in the chat in a little bit, but I will simply say that what I would like to do is talk about improvements to the meeting minutes to document the questions that were asked, and specifically at what point in the recording or the excerpt of the recording you might find it discussed, and document whether it was addressed adequately or not, because we want to track the questions that you ask and our ability to answer those, to address them adequately. So we can talk about minutes, we can talk about recordings of meetings and so forth during the public comment tonight. So the old business, we did approve that we will table unless there's some discussion. And CPC members, tell me to take a time out. If you want to call for further discussion of this right now, please say so, and we'll have that discussion. I see at least one head shaking. So let's press on to what the new business is. And we don't really have new business except that we are opening an avenue for community members to make suggestions for future agenda topics, items. And I sent that, I believe I sent that out in the email that everybody got, but you can submit those suggestions and they will be documented. You'll be able to have a copy of them and so forth. So we're looking for your inputs on what is useful for you. And one of the things that we advocate is transparency and accountability. And part of that is for us to simply listen to your input. So at this point in the meeting, we have 55 instead of 65 minutes. But if you have something that you would like to speak directly to all of the viewers tonight, raise your hand so that Kelly can promote you to a panelist so that you can both speak, your audio will be enabled and your video will be enabled so that you can be seen and be heard. And we're here to hear your assessment of how are we doing, what do we need to do better, and how are you willing to help? And that's part of what the commander's asking. How are you willing to help? If there are any geeky people other than Samuel, who hasn't been able to show up yet tonight, and Angelo, who professes to be another geeky person, we can use some help in social media, YouTube productions, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm all ears. And at this point, Kelly, if you see anybody raising a hand, go ahead and invite them to join. And other CPC members, I will mute myself and you can talk.
There's a question in there from Tom Ciciteri. During COVID, many medical providers offered virtual doctor visits. Might APD offer virtual Southeast Command officer visits to augment the triangle office space for the Commander Luke?
That's a great question. A lot of and we've expanded the duties and responsibilities of our telephone reporting unit, TRU, and our online reporting. An example being in the past, if there was a offender that was known on a particular type of crime, they wouldn't be able to take the report and you'd have to wait for an officer to take it. That's not the case now. Now, TRU or online reporting can complete that report and at least get it reported and get a case number, and then it gets assigned to, if it's felony, it gets assigned to a detective. If it's misdemeanor, the day shift lieutenants are getting all of those and they're assigning them to field officers to conduct that investigation. And if a criminal summons needs to be drafted, the field officers will complete those criminal summons. So again, to recap, the TRU and online reporting, what can be reported on those platforms have greatly expanded. So we're hoping that that will make a difference, especially for us since our substation is going to be closed for several months.
So at this point, Kelly, just raise your hand or butt in if somebody wants to speak on camera and with their video. Oh, we have Sandra, and so I will mute. And Sandra.
Hello?
We hear you, Sandra. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
Don't be sorry.
So happy St. Patrick's Day, first of all, to everybody. Enjoy your green beer. But I guess this question, of course, is for Commander Languit and possibly Jose. If I took my note correct, auto thefts were like at 79, very high. And with that, to me, I think comes speeding, especially if officers see them stealing a vehicle and they're trying to get away. Speeding through the neighborhoods, speaking for myself, for my neighborhood, Elder Homestead, it's becoming very, not that it's becoming, it's just increasing, I guess. The speeding from San Pedro to Louisiana on Catherine, just blowing through the stop signs, blowing through our neighborhood from Gibson. In any of the initiatives that were mentioned, is there any kind of a study for speeding that would be addressed based on the number of auto thefts and people just acting crazy with those? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Sandra. At a department level, so I'm going to throw a bunch of stuff at you. At the department level, the administration and the executive staff, I want to say it's gone on for about a month and a half now. They really tasked the traffic division with increasing their enforcement, particularly for speeding. So traffic, the motors division has been getting hotspot information from our real-time crime center and hitting those hotspots. For us in the southeast, it's along the central corridor and then also Interstate 40. There are some pockets, I don't have the exact ones that the motors officers are doing, but I know that they gave a little bit of attention to some particular neighborhood issues. But I want to say the majority of their work was along Central and Interstate 40. Now, for us in the area command, we absolutely will dedicate time and resources to neighborhood complaints. And what I'd like to tell everyone is anytime that you have a particular intersection or a particular area where you see that, please report that. The traffic engineering website on the city. My understanding is you can input the problem area or problem location, and if enough people report on it, they'll send out traffic engineers who will come out and they'll install like the little rubber data strips that you see, which records data, speeds, how many vehicles, how much traffic that they're getting, and that helps the engineers determine, well, you know what, if we go 150 yards to the west and install a speed hump or a roundabout, that'll, get rid of that problem. Now that's more long-term and which is good. We want a long-term sustainable solution, but I'm sure that probably takes a while, right? So in the interim, that's where we here in the area command, that's where I need that information from you. One of the initiatives, the operational initiatives that we have, and I don't know if he's still on, Lieutenant Aaron Beck, he was on at the beginning of the meeting. He's actually the lieutenant in charge of, we call it our DDACT, DDACT, our DDACT POP project. And DDACT's whole focus is on increased traffic stops. Increased traffic stops for disrupting criminal activity, but the speed zones apply just as well. We can definitely use the officers that are assigned to the DDACT POP project to hit these areas. And I've just got, in fact, I want to say I got 2 or 3 in the last 2 weeks. One was Eubank, South Eubank by the Base Gates, reports of drag racing. Another one was down by Yale and Catherine, because there's a school down there, but there's a speeding issue over there. And then off of Indian School as well. So Sandra, I could get with you offline and get the exact, intersection or strip of road. I'll push that out to my lieutenant. We'll figure out what the kind of like peak times are, and we'll get officers out there. And the idea behind it is we'll definitely flood it on the front end. If we need to get officers out there every day, we will. So the word spreads. And then obviously, just due to our staffing and our resources, then we may pull back from 5 days to like maybe 4 days and then 3 days and then 2 days. But the idea is that the word spread that we are doing enforcement to where we're stopping, everything, and it's zero tolerance. We're giving citations for it. Another resource that I'd like to offer as well, kind of more for like the interim, like the short-term solutions, is we have a speed trailer that we can deploy that also collects data. But then I also just picked up about 50 signs, 50 of these big plastic slow down Albuquerque signs. Will it solve it? No, but it can help. It can deter some of the vehicles when they see that sign. So I can get with you and I can give you those signs, and we can place them, in a strategic, area to where it could help as well. So I'd like to offer that as well.
Thank you, Commander. I appreciate your help.
Okay. I think Angelo had a suggestion to make. Angelo? You there, Angelo? Maybe a little later. Is there anyone else who would like to come on and speak about questions, comments, or concerns in the Southeast Area Command at this point in time?
If not, like the commander, I like to talk. So let's see here. Kelly, I think what you were asking me to talk about is service on council, as in being a, so number one, we currently have 8 members. We are limited to 11 members on the council by the ordinance. And that was sort of an arbitrary number that the Southeast CPC sort of established when we brought on an 11th member. Remember, Ron, when we did that? And so it kind of stuck, and makes it easy in some respects to have a majority to establish a quorum and so forth. So we have 8 current members. Sadly, Samuel seems to be stuck in his midterm, but we have openings for 3, and I was going to address this tonight, if I can find my notes, that we have an obligation to have a diverse membership on the council. And we are not doing an especially good job at that. Suzy is currently our only woman member. We have 2 sort of youngish members. I see Archie. Angelo is young and Samuel is young. We have 3 Hispanics, as I would 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. Archie, Angel, Samuel, and who else am I missing? Anyway, we do not have, we maybe have adequate Hispanic representation. We only have 2 applications, and neither one of them is likely to improve our diversity. So with that, I think the CPC members should have a discussion at some point about what we want to do. But if you want to serve on the council, we're looking forward to your expression of interest. And I'm going to say one thing. I did mention that 3 of us are obligated, if there are sufficient community members interested in serving, 3 of us are obligated to step down October 2023. I have personally committed privately, and I will do it tonight publicly, that if there's some applicant who is welcomed onto the board or the council, or could be, if I were to step down, I will step down. If someone's female, young, different socioeconomic background, whatever, I'm ready to step down and allow, so Suzy could resume the chair position, and I would step down, say, in August this year if we've got the right kinds of applicants, community members interested in serving. So with that, please take a look at the, let's see, Archie had his hand up first, and Ron, I'll stop talking here in just a moment. Please take a look at the city website. Also, there is a questionnaire form on Google Drive, and I will send that out to everybody so that they can sort of self-vet in what their abilities are. So, Archie, are you still wanting to make a comment? If so, go ahead and speak first. I will stop and then Ron will speak. Okay, Ron start and then Archie can join in.
Okay, let's see, Kelly, and or Mike, would it be possible for you to send out on Nextdoor the website location for the city, for the community policing councils, where there are application forms and information available for people who want to make an application? And if they had that website information available to them, they might be able to do that. But that might go out through Nextdoor, so we have much wider coverage of information for people.
It's a good idea.
I know that APD does have somebody who has the ability to post across multiple neighborhoods, not just the adjoining neighborhoods. I will do that in the southeast in my adjoining neighborhoods. I think there are 23, but that does not reach the entire southeast CPC area. I think it was Amanda Bustos had that capability. I can reach out to her and see if she's able to do that. And if we can't get it going, that maybe we can find, maybe Christopher can extend the reach in his adjoining neighborhoods and so forth. Angelo, I think you probably, if you're on Nextdoor, can post further east, and we'll just do it piecemeal. And I see Maria online. Archie hasn't offered a question or comment. Okay,
You
Archie.
already answered it, Mike. Thanks. I just wanted to ask the commander, if he could touch on ACS, the Albuquerque Community Service, and how he sees that's been aiding in the lowering of the calls of uniformed officers to different scenarios and different incidences. If he has any information on that, thank you.
Okay, great question, Archie. I'll just say here, just speaking for the Southeast Area Command, I can't comment citywide, but we have a great relationship with ACS. Like I said, I know the majority of my referrals comes from the encampment referrals that I get, to where every time I've hit up ACS, the next day they are out there doing their resources and outreach. So it's a great relationship. I know that they are still working towards expanding their capacity. And capacity, I mean like 7-day-a-week coverage and extending their times. They did provide training to our officers as far as situations of when they, on a call for service, can send that calls for service to them, because they run off the AFR CAD system, to where we don't have to respond. So those behavioral health issues absent of a crime, absolutely, that's something that ACS can take. So I hope that they get all the funding that they need, and that they can expand their capacity, because in my opinion, it's a great resource as far as helping bring down the workload for our officers, but also providing that service. Because like I said, a lot of the contributing factors don't really, it's not a police, we shouldn't be there, at that point. And ACS can help address it before it ends in crime, because it went unaddressed, if that makes sense. So thank you for the question.
So
Thanks for the answer.
I'll get with you, Commander, see if we can't somehow summarize statistics. And I'll also reach out to Diane Kinderwater to maybe have Mariella do a return interview about the effectiveness of ACS in helping reduce your calls for service. So they were highly impressed with the interview that she did a long time ago. So let's see here. We have Maria, and I believe she wants to say something.
Want to let you guys know that I am happy to connect you with Vanessa Baca, who's in charge of the Office of Neighborhood Coordination, and she can include in her weekly e-newsletter the information that the CTCs are looking for new members and the form to apply. If you would like me to, I can do that.
I will say that I had a little bit of trouble hearing all of that. I don't know, maybe you could get a little bit closer to your microphone and have at it again.
Shift off.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh my goodness, so much better.
Okay, sorry about that. I have some great headphones, but they don't have a great mic. Vanessa Baca is the head of the Office of Neighborhood Coordination, and she sends out a weekly e-newsletter to all neighborhood associations citywide. And if you like, Kelly, we could include the information on CPCs looking for new members, because a lot of the neighborhood associations use that to communicate out with their neighbors. I don't know if you're already in touch with her.
That would be a great idea, and we'll have to bring a few chairs and getting our agendas done early, and then we can definitely, yeah, we're well in contact with Vanessa Baca. We just have to get our timing down a little better to get the information in and on time to get the newsletter out, you know.
Yeah, I think sometimes Fridays, because she sends it out on Mondays. So that might help get more people. And I'm happy to also spread it on the list that we have for the Nob Hill to University Echo area as well, if that's helpful.
We'd appreciate it.
Sure thing. Yeah. Thanks, guys. It's a great meeting tonight.
Thanks, Smith.
So Kelly, do you see other community members who are interested in speaking, being seen, even if it's just a graphic or name? So nobody else?
We're not right now. We do have one council member, I think, who wants to speak. Angela?
Hi, this is Debbie Conger. I was reading, and I'm sorry I had to drop off for a while, so I hope this wasn't already covered, but I was reading the Commander's Earth Day idea. And did you already talk about this a lot?
Not too much.
Okay. Yeah, that's I was a criminology major back in the 90s, and that's the whole broken window theory of crime. And I know in South Los Altos, we worked a lot with community policing and everything to do cleanups. And I totally agree with what he's saying to do this. The problem is, I think it's a great idea. Our neighborhood association has like 10 members, okay? We don't have we try to reach out to people. If there was something about that, we could possibly post it on Facebook page or somewhere. The problem is Fridays, like a lot of us who are involved already, we work full time. And I just think it's a great idea, and I don't know what the solution is. I can't do it because I have a demanding job and I can't do it on the Fridays, but I don't know what the solution is, but he's right. You know, it's the whole broken windows theory of crime. The criminals think nobody cares. And I've been picking up trash over in South Los Altos on the streets in the 100 block. And I think it helps, but I don't know, could it be done like on a Friday and Saturday? I'm not sure.
So I think that's a great point. I know that this was a matter of scheduling because again, solid waste is booked through all and really the reality is we can't do it without them, right? Obviously, they got the big trucks and street sweepers and all that, but they were booked all through April. And to be honest, if we could do it tomorrow, we need to do it tomorrow. That's how bad this particular area is. It just needs to be done. But what I'd like to do, and I don't know if this answers your question as a possible solution, but at the conclusion of this is I want to prepare a document that lists kind of like a flow chart and then the points of contact that I can push out to all the neighborhoods so you guys know who to contact and who to coordinate with to where you can do it on a day that fits your neighborhood, right? When you're not working. And then again, as the police department, yeah, we're in a way coordinating and planning this one, but I hope that this isn't the only one. And I hope that it's not the police department that is planning and coordinating these. I hope that the neighborhoods in our area command, once they have the information on how to do it, they do it. And then we, the police department, I'll have officers come out there just to support and in partnership to help out and assist. So that's kind of like my vision for it. But again, I mean, we'll see Friday the 25th. And like I said, I want to work with the directors from those other divisions and departments and get a good process and points of contact that I can push out to you guys. I hope that answers your question.
You can you can put me as the point of contact. I don't have much hope though. I mean, part of the problem is our neighborhood has gotten really old and we haven't even been able for the last 2 years to get people to, except for one pickup of the park, to get people together. I pick up trash by myself most of the time. It is really frustrating. So thank you for trying this, but you can put me down as your point of contact. I'll send you an email and
That'd be great.
Try to publicize it and we can do what we can.
That would be great. And I'm glad that you kind of just like we're trying, you know, and I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep, but like in your particular situation, the first thing that's coming to my mind right now is you may not have the manpower to do it. Well, that's where as a community, I'm sure we can get other people from different parts of the community to come and help you guys out, you know, but that's just the optimistic part of me. Yeah, get with me offline, you know, and we'll definitely see what we can do. I think this is the year to do it though. We have to try.
Yeah, I mean, even one person like myself, I can pick up a lot of trash in an hour. So, you know, if this was a Saturday, I would be there. I just, I can't on a Friday, but yeah, so I'll be in touch with you and we'll do what we can.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to add something to that. The CPCs had quarterly summits, and quite a long time ago, I can't remember how many years back it was, somebody said you need to do a walk along instead of ride alongs with the police, do a walk along with community members. And I remember some comments from last month's meeting that I took to heart. I did kind of a drive-through of my own in that particular area. And I will, whenever I have free time on Saturdays and Sundays, which are usually my most open days, you've got my contact info. Give me a call. I will come out there and I'll walk through the neighborhood. I'll pick up trash too, but we'll also document what the problems are, talk to people about their impressions. I'm more than happy to do that. I actually bike through a lot of the areas that people have problems with, the parks, the open spaces, the alleys and so forth. So I'm well familiar with those, and I'm happy to go out with you if we can find a good time, and I'll pick up trash with you. So just give me a call. That's what my email and cell phone numbers are in the chat for.
All right, it looks as though we have no other attendees who want to speak right now. We do have an update from our youngest council member in the Albuquerque Community Policing Council, Angelo Ragland.
Hi guys, I want to talk about block parties. I've been doing like going to the block parties for the past few weeks, you can say, and the last one too. It's really fun. Because I usually never go out because I'm always studying for school and having fun with family and friends. But I think you guys should come to the block parties. We gather other people from neighborhoods and talk about like the city's pamphlets, schools for C&M, UNM. Like there's like free food. I thought it was nice. Yeah, it's good to be around with other people, to be in a community, because we hardly in a society that I learned from my school, that we hardly do anything as people, like communicate and gather around with people. So the next block party that I wanted to mention is on
That'll be Saturday.
this Saturday on March 19th, Cesar Chavez Community Center, and the next one, the last on Saturday, is March 26th, Mesa Verde Community Center. I hope everyone will come, because it's good to go out and meet new people.
It's been
Thanks.
beautiful out there, hasn't it? The weather's been nice. I bring my dog, and we all get together. The city and the county vendors come out, giving the ones from all the offices talking about what they do and giving community services. And Ron and Mike and Angelo and I have been out there every weekend speaking to people about the community service. I've had my free food every weekend. My dog Fozzie has always gotten some dog biscuits and stuff. And, ultimately it's been a good time. So I got to meet a lot of people from a lot of different communities, and it's been worthwhile. Saturday morning from 12 till 3. Stop by sometime if you can, next 2 weeks.
The upcoming one this weekend is just a few blocks south of what's called the Compassionate Service Center. I'm quite familiar with Pastor Joanne, who runs that. I might stop by and see if some of the folks who take shelter there and get, showers and food and so forth, if they might want to join and help clean up some of the mess that some of their other homeless acquaintances leave behind. Because I spend a lot of time over there. Every couple of days I stop by to talk with her. And I invite you to stop by some afternoon, usually 1 to 5 is a good time. It's 3 blocks east of Louisiana at Mesilla, and it's 2 blocks south of Zuni on Trumbull. So Trumbull and Mesilla, and some really nice folks, and you might change your opinions about what homeless, unsheltered people experience, what they're like. I found some very interesting discussions there. So I'm going to try to see if Pastor Joanne and Shane can encourage some of those folks to come out and help you, Commander, on the Earth Day initiative to clean up.
Thank you.
Does anyone have anything else?
Two little points for me. One for the speeding for Sandra and the International District. I know a lot of that speeding is tied into base traffic, especially along Louisiana and Gibson. And you can just time it based on the shifts coming in or leaving. And that's more of a reoccurring problem. And I know that it gets looked into every once in a while, but walking your daughter to Van Buren really opens your eyes to that particular problem. And the other one is, as far as the Gibson Public Safety District, I would urge you to consider using a bike patrol, just because being on the ground like that, you get the most visual, and every area that has a bike patrol seems to love it, and those that have lost it seem to miss it. I think I would urge you to consider it strongly for the Gibson district. As far as that, I think it's a good idea. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And just so everyone knows, we currently have 2 bike officers in the Southeast Area Command. They are assigned to Nob Hill. I would like to, hopefully by the end of the summer, get 2 more for Nob Hill. And definitely we have thought about bike officers for the Gibson Public Safety District. I don't have a particular go live date for that. Again, it's going to be on department staffing and all that, but huge advantages. You're absolutely right. Huge advantages to having
just
bike
for
patrols.
this particular neighborhood, especially, you miss a lot when you're driving by. Everybody does. And when you're actually on your bike and going down the alleys and being part of every part of that area, you really know what's going on. And I just urge you to strongly consider that when you're thinking about it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I will send out a few links to some of the background material, documents, reports, excerpts from some of our previous meetings. And rather than drag this out this evening, I will simply say that I made a presentation back in January about the CPC's strategic plan with our 5 top priorities. One of them is accountability, and I'm trying to be accessible and visible, flexible to improve transparency and accountability. Again, reach out to me. I will send out a link to that YouTube excerpt about the strategic plan, and I invite you to take a look into the plan itself and options for joining a community working group, because we are only obligated under the CASA to hold 2 CPC meetings a year. What could we possibly accomplish during that time? We're doing a remarkable job, and in part, it's due to Ron's past nurturing of the Southeast CPC and Eric from Jackson from the Northwest to hold them more often. I guess Joe Abbin did that as well. So we are doing far more than the CASA requires, but we can do far more in an informal, collaborative working group with community members. So I invite you to consider joining us in some of those, and we'll have some discussions informally, put them up on YouTube as we do the council meetings. So I'm okay with closing the meeting now. If there are no other things to share, no questions to be asked, and I think officially Robert's Rules of Order don't require a vote to adjourn, but if we have all of our council members give a thumbs up, Archie, you're unmuted. So if we have a thumbs up on calling it quits tonight.
I've seen my thumb, it's dark, it's up though.
Okay, so those of you who joined as panelists tonight, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Those of you who've asked questions in chat, we will try to document those and try to document the answers, whether they were adequate or not. And we invite your continuing evaluation of our performance. So with that, if there's nothing else, okay, go ahead, Kelly. Let's go say goodnight early.
Good evening, everyone. We will see you in 30 days, roughly.
Thanks, everybody. Good night. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Yep. Good night.